Hi, welcome back to my channel, and we're back again with another video, and this time we're going to be talking a bit more about some extra pitfalls that you should be aware of if you're running an SA business. I'm definitely not trying to be negative about the service accommodation business. It is lucrative if it is done correctly. However, there are always pitfalls in business that you need to be aware of in order to ensure that you're going to run your business to the best of its ability. Obviously, nobody wants to keep coming up against pitfall against pitfall against pitfall, but if you're aware of what they are, then you can do your best to avoid them or to mitigate the impact they may have on your business. So someone actually reached out to me and asked me if there were any more that I could actually cover. So I'm just doing this very quick video. There'll be another 4 that I'll cover, again within the same kind of groupings that I had before, which we'll just recap now, and I'll take you through what those pitfalls are. On the operational side, not having clear T's and C's can cause problems for your business. When you're setting up your business on any of the OTAs which you choose to use, you can implement T's and C's. Those terms and conditions define how your business is to be run, define how you want your guests to interact with you, and are so important to have. The clearer your T's and C's are, the better you are able to deal with anything that comes back to you in your business. You want to set these clear T's and C's because this is the way in which you as a service accommodation operator will interact with your customers, and it will set the guidelines of how you want your business and your property to be handled. Therefore, it's best to have those done. So if there's any recourse, for example, what is the latest a guest can check in and out of your property? Now, if you have your keys at a key nest, which is closed at 6 p.m, for example, you need to make sure it is listed in your T's and C's that your guests will need to collect the keys by a certain particular time. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to access your property. Things like that, which seem very small and seem very obvious, are really important to have listed clearly, because if a guest was to turn up late and then say, for example, that I turned up and I couldn't access the property because couldn't get the keys, and they were turning up at 7, and it's very clearly stated in your T's and C's or any of the information that you send to your guests that they needed to be somewhere by maybe 6 to collect the keys, for example, then you have recourse to say, look, we addressed what you needed to do and you didn't pull your end of the bargain. Or, for example, if there are very clear T's and C's in terms of not having parties in your property, then if a guest was to do so and you received a complaint from a neighbour or anything along those lines, you would then have a clear recourse to push that further if you needed to complain or to reclaim some of your deposit or whatever it may be, in order to ensure that your business is protected. Because that's the main thing. You want to protect your business, you want to protect the interests of yourself, you want to protect the interests of your guests and your customers, but you want to ensure that your reputation is as good as it can be. So clear T's and C's are very, very important. Secondly, on the relational side, we want to talk about conflict resolution. So the way in which you desire to resolve any forms of conflicts will define your business. You will come into conflicts with customers. It will happen, things will go wrong, it's just the nature of the beast. However, how you choose to deal with those problems will define how your relationship with your customer will go moving forward, in terms of things like the reviews that they will leave, how they may think about returning to your business, and how they would use you again. Now imagine you go to a store, something happens and the manager of the store is very rude to you, like you're in the right, something you want to just raise an issue that you have faced and the manager in the store is being very rude. You might not want to patronize that particular store again. So think about how you decide to resolve conflict. I had a guest, for example, who went into my property, and at the time the area water company decided to do some works, which meant the water went off for a couple of hours. Now this is not my fault, it's nothing that I could have accounted for, but it's also not the guest's fault, and it just meant there was, for this particular guest, it kind of adjusted how they were doing some plans for their evening, because they couldn't actually use any water in the facility, and so as a gesture of goodwill, I thought it would be nice to give them some of their money back to ensure that I could keep that relationship good. As a result of that particular guest actually chose to book again. Things like that go a very long way. So how you choose to deal with conflict is super important. On the logistical side of things, The biggest pitfall I see with any new service accommodation operators is only running on a limited number of OTAs. There is more in this world outside of Booking.com and Airbnb. They may be some of the biggest or two of the biggest OTAs, but that doesn't mean that's where all your business will come from. Now, there are other OTAs that you can list, and because a lot of people feel like they don't want to have to go through the process of listing a property over and over again, there are companies who have set up platforms which you can go and use, which will take the heartache and the headache out of that for you. So for example, the platform I used was Avivo, and effectively what you would then do is you would go in, you would list your property on one system, and that would then disseminate all of your listings across all of the OTAs. I think at the time there may have been up to 70 OTAs that I was listed on. Most of my bookings came from Booking.com. I had a few from Airbnb, majority from, like I said, Booking.com. Then I also had some other ones that came through from places such as Expedia, Late Rooms when that was in existence, very rarely, a few others as well which I may not have heard of. But you're limiting yourself if you only run on two. Your business can come from any number of places, and as long as it's verified and it makes sense and the payments are secure, that should be the only thing that matters. You're running it through one system. You can handle everything from your client comms, your promotional, you change your pricing, all through one system, and it manages everything. Your calendar is done through one system. So you want to make sure you're working with an OTA aggregator such as Avivo. There are others out there as well in order to do that. Sometimes people may work with a kind of like a bookings company or a company which allows you to basically list your property with them, and they manage it all for you. That's an option as well, but just be mindful that that does incur a cost. And so in the first instance, it may not be the way that you want to go if you're just running one service accommodation, because you may be able to manage that for yourself. But if you were running multiple, that may be a better option for you to take the cost of letting someone else run it for you in order to remove yourself from the headache. In the last video, I spoke about not having contingency funds, but having poor contingency planning is also one of the biggest sorts of pitfalls that you can run into. So for example, thinking about things such as this. If you're running a service accommodation property in an area not local to yourself, so for me, my service accommodation property was based a 2-hour train ride away from where I lived. What happens when something goes wrong? So, for example, I had a guest who stayed in the property, and when she left, somewhere between her leaving my property and the key nest, she managed to lose my keys. Now I'm stuck. I've got another guest who's due to go in the next day, and I don't have a key for my guest. What do you do? Now in a situation like that, I was stuck because everybody, including my cleaners, used the same key nest and the same set of keys to handle everything. Now in hindsight, what I would do differently would be to make sure everyone who needed to access the property had a set of keys. So my cleaning company would have a set of keys, and the key nest would have a set of keys, and then I would have a spare set of keys. That would be the better way to do that. But at the time, I only had the one. Now, what I ended up having to do in terms of my contingency plan was have my cleaning team go in with a locksmith to get the keys changed over. That same cleaning team then managed to copy the keys for me and ensured that all the relevant parties who needed to have keys had the keys. That's how I handled it. Now, contingency planning in that situation is really important, and I didn't have a contingency plan in that case. I came up with one, but I didn't have a contingency plan in place. So as you move forward in your business and think about the possible things that can go wrong, having a clear contingency plan of what you can do will save you a lot of time and potentially save you a lot of money. Like having a locksmith go in to refit a new lock cost maybe about £150, I think it was, potentially, to get that changed over, when if I just had a spare set of keys, it probably would have cost maybe about £10 to get another set of keys cut and delivered to the key nest. Those kinds of things are things you want to really think about, because little mistakes can be quite expensive. like I said, and just to note, this was just another quick video. I hope it was beneficial for you. If you have any more questions, anything you want to know, please let me know. I'm hoping to produce more content such as this for you, that will kind of give you, more of an insight behind the scenes of how service accommodation and other property strategies are handled. But please feel free to drop me any messages in the comments. Like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel also. Yeah, and let me know if you need any more information. Thanks very much. Bye.